My name is Madison Cole, and I'm 30 years old. On paper, until recently, my life looked neat, respectable, not glamorous, not something you'd cut into an inspirational reel with piano music and sunrise shots, but solid in that way only people who know the weight of due dates and interest rates really appreciate. I work in corporate compliance for a mid-sized financial company. My world is fine print and risk assessments. I read what other people skim. I ask, what happens if this goes wrong before anyone else realizes it can go wrong? My comfort zone is a 30-page policy that no one but me has read all the way through. I like it that way. In my world, there are procedures. If something breaks, there's a documented way to respond. You identify the problem, assess the damage, and you fix it, or you at least cover it properly. For a long time, I thought my relationship worked the same way. My boyfriend Ryan is 28. He calls himself a visionary life architect, which is a dramatic way of saying life coach and content creator. He thrives on vibes and ring lights and phrases like step into your power and monetize your authenticity. His days are storyboards and reels and brand collaborations. Mine are audits and compliance reports. For 3 years, it weirdly worked. I was the anchor. He was the balloon. I made sure the bills were paid. He made sure we remembered to go outside once in a while and take photos in good lighting. About a month ago, I proposed. Yes, I proposed. I knew what I wanted, and I didn't feel like waiting for him to organize a grand gesture between his content days. I took him to the little restaurant where we had our first real date, and, after dessert, I slid a ring box across the table. He cried, actual tears glistening under the fairy lights. Madison, oh my God, yes, of course, but we have to optimize this. Optimize. That word should have been my omen. It's his favorite word. It sounds neutral, even positive, like adjusting a spreadsheet formula. But in Ryan's world, optimize often means change everything around me so I feel better. The optimization process began in earnest when he started his empowerment coaching certification. Suddenly, our evenings were filled with modules and webinars and the constant ping of group chats. And then there was Sienna. Sienna is 32, camera perfect, and the kind of woman who looks like she always has wind in her hair, even indoors. She's Ryan's mentor in the program. And, my ex, he added casually once, scrolling through her profile on his phone. But we're totally past that. She just really gets my mission. I'm good at reading tone. I heard the way his voice softened on gets. I saw the way his thumb lingered a little too long over photos where she was pressed up against a microphone or lounging in some expensive, neutral-toned living room. I told myself I was overthinking. That's what I do, right? Assess risk. See patterns where other people see noise. I shoved the unease into a mental folder and labeled it monitor. Then came the night of the PowerPoint. Baby, can you come sit? Ryan called from the living room. I walked in to find the TV turned into a projector screen. Slides already pulled up. On the coffee table sat a white binder, laminated and neat, with a little logo in the corner, his brand mark, a stylized R inside a circle. Okay, he said, clasping his hands, eyes shining. So, Sienna and I were talking about how, if we want to build an optimized marriage, we need to be intentional, conscious, structured. My stomach tightened, but I smiled. We already talk about everything, Ryan. Exactly, he said. But talking is like level 1. We're ready for level 3. Sienna says conscious couples treat their relationship like a sacred business partnership, so I made us a partnership contract. He picked up the binder like it was something holy and set it gently in my lap. The title, printed in elegant serif font, A Path to Optimized Partnership, a Contractual Agreement. My palms went cold. I opened it. Pages 1 through 4 were all the same heading, Madison's areas for improvement and mandated duties. Clause 2.1. Madison, Partner A, shall provide verbal validation of Ryan's, Partner B, emotional state, no fewer than 3 times per conversational exchange. Clause 3.3. Partner. A will cease pessimistic or overly realistic commentary regarding Partner B's career ventures. Are you sure Sienna's business model is legal? Clause 4.1. Partner. A will increase her shared household labor contribution from its current estimated 60% to a more equitable 75% to compensate for Partner B's emotional labor. Clause 4.2. Partner. A will refrain from questioning partner B's wellness purchases as self-care is non-negotiable. It went on and on. My allegedly inefficient dishwasher loading method, my failure to be spontaneously romantic on a schedule he had sneakily structured through date night frameworks in his calendar. Page 5 was partner B's commitments. 2 bullet points. Partner B will provide honesty and transparency. Partner B will continue to foster his own growth to inspire partner A. That was it. I read every word. My heart didn't pound with love. It beat slow and cold, the way it does when I'm reading about a company trying to smuggle a predatory clause under a layer of buzzwords. He had taken every small irritation, every ordinary relationship complaint, and weaponized it in corporate language, then handed it to me as a condition of his love. When I looked up, he was beaming. So? He asked. Sienna helped me draft it. Isn't it amazing? It's all about radical accountability. I smiled. The expression felt strange on my face, like a mask I hadn't worn in years. Ryan, I said softly, I am so glad we're finally getting organized. His shoulders relaxed. I knew you'd get it. You're so methodical. This is a serious document, though. It's our foundation. It is, I agreed, lifting the binder, which is why I need to review it properly. Give me 24 hours, okay? I want to make sure I'm fully aligned with the protocols. His ego preened at the choice of words. Oh my God, yes, of course. Take your time. This is why we're perfect together. He kissed my forehead and went back to his laptop, no doubt to tell Sienna that his skeptical, practical girlfriend was on board. He had no idea. In my home office, I shut the door and laid the binder on my desk. I recognized the template within seconds. Standard freelance services agreement, clumsily edited, some terms fined and replaced with partner and optimized. I opened my laptop and pulled up a fresh Word document. I didn't delete his clauses, not a single word. I copied his entire contract, formatting and all. Then I added a new section. Addendum 7, Mutual Fidelity and Liquidated Damages. 7A. In accordance with Partner B's commitment to honesty and transparency, page 5, bullet 1, both parties affirm that this optimized partnership is contingent on absolute emotional and physical fidelity. 7B. A breach of fidelity, defined as any romantic or sexual intimacy, digital or physical, with a third party, shall be considered a material breach of this entire agreement by the breaching party. 7C. As this contract is entered into with the mutual understanding of a forthcoming marriage and in consideration of the $10,000 gifted funds from Partner B's parents held in trust by Partner A in savings account. 234. For a future home down payment, a material breach of fidelity by Partner B, Ryan, shall be considered fraudulent inducement. 7D. Upon verification of said breach by Partner B agrees to the immediate and non-contestable forfeiture of the full $10,000 from account 1234 to Partner A as pre-liquidated damages to compensate for emotional distress, reputational harm, and fraudulent entry into this agreement. Ryan's parents had given us the $10,000 the week after our engagement. For your future, his mother had said, eyes wet. Ryan is terrible with money, and even he knew it. He'd insisted I put it in my high-yield savings so I don't accidentally spend it on retreats. Their money. My name on the account. A compliance nightmare. Or an opportunity. I printed the addendum on matching cardstock, used the same font, and even recreated his little logo in the footer. When I slotted it into the binder, it looked like it had always been there. The next morning, I brought the binder and a pen to the breakfast table. I've reviewed it, I said, meeting his eyes. He lit up. And? It's perfect, I replied. I just added one small section, Addendum 7. It just actualizes your honesty and transparency clause. Makes it concrete, for accountability. He was so high on his own power trip that he barely glanced at the new pages. Fidelity, damages, blah blah, he muttered, skimming. Yeah, obviously. I'm not worried. This is about us being next level. He signed the main page with a flourish. He initialed every page, including the addendum. I signed. I initialed. He slid his copy into the binder and placed it proudly on the living room shelf like a trophy. This is it, Madison, he said, pulling me into a hug. We're entering our optimized era. He thought he'd put me on a performance improvement plan. I thought I'd just built a $10,000 bear trap. All I had to do now was prove what I already suspected, that Sienna wasn't just his mentor. Part 2. It's been 3 weeks since the contract. 3 weeks of living under laminated law. Ryan loves it. He cites clauses like scripture. Madison, he says in that patient, patronizing tone that makes me imagine strangling him with his chakra necklace. You didn't verbally validate my feelings about that influencer's post. That's technically a soft breach of Clause 2.1. I'm noting it in my journal. I smile, slow and serene. You're right. I appreciate you catching that. He beams, proud of himself. Growth. This is what optimization looks like. I nod. Absolutely. Duly noted. The truth is, I've been noting things too, but not in his sense of accountability journaling, in my sense of documenting violations for future litigation. Ryan's idea of self-improvement has turned into an excuse to control every breath I take, my dishwasher loading habits, my tone when he forgets to pay the electric bill, my supposed negativity when I point out that Sienna's retreat business is basically a glorified pyramid scheme. He tells his followers we're modeling radical partnership. I tell myself to breathe and keep my evidence folder updated. His separate credit card bills are my first clue. He's sloppy. One line item jumps out immediately. The Gilded Lily, an upscale cocktail bar with $20 martinis and gold-rimmed glasses. Timestamp, Tuesday, 9:43 p.m. His shared Google Calendar, because of course we share everything now, claims he was at guided meditation and breathwork. He left the receipt on the desk. 2 drinks. Sienna's initials scribbled on the back. I don't react. I don't even blink. You don't show your hand in a compliance audit. I just say, hey babe, do you need me to transfer money for the credit card? He grins, distracted, scrolling through his phone. Nah, Sienna comped my drinks. Business expense. He actually winks. Business expense. Right. I start quietly connecting dots. Location pings. Timestamps, small lies that pile up like paper cuts. He's careless enough to think I'm still the same woman who once apologized for being too analytical. Last Friday, he announces a big weekend opportunity. Sienna's hosting an exclusive seminar on unlocking your alpha energy. Madison, this is so important for us. You'll love it, he says. I smile. Can't wait. Then I go to my office, open my planner, and start designing my own seminar. Title: Operation Verification. I schedule a fake work trip, a data security conference 2 cities away. I tell Ryan I'm crushed to miss his life-changing weekend. He says, it's okay, babe, I'll take notes for both of us. His voice is too quick, too eager. Thursday morning, I pack a suitcase, kiss him goodbye, and drive to the airport. At 8:10 a.m., I check in for my flight. At 8:15, I turn around, drive 10 minutes to a small hotel 2 blocks from our condo, and check into room 214 under a different name. I'm not paranoid, I'm prepared. We share our locations for safety. His idea. I think it was really so he could monitor me. Funny how that works both ways. At 9:00 p.m., his dot is at home. At 10:00, still home. At 10:30, it moves across town. At 10:45, it stops at a trendy apartment complex downtown. Sienna's building. I know it from her seminar flyers. Then his dot stays still, all night. I don't sleep. I just watch the little blue circle glowing on my phone screen. At 7:15 a.m., it moves again, straight back to our condo. By 7:30, I'm already there, sitting at my desk when I hear his key in the door. Hey, he says brightly, dropping his bag. I thought you were in Dallas. Flight got canceled, I say smoothly. Family emergency resolved. He laughs awkwardly. Oh, well, good. I went for an early morning run. Clears my head. He's in his good jeans. His hair is styled. There's a faint shimmer of bronzer at his collar. A run? I ask, raising an eyebrow. In jeans? His smile flickers. I met a client after. You must be exhausted, I say, standing up. It's hard work, fostering your own growth. He frowns. What are you talking about? I walk to my office. He follows, voice sharp. Madison, what are you implying? I sit down, open my laptop. I'm talking about our contract, I say quietly. I'm afraid you're in material breach. He stares. What? That's insane. I've been a perfect partner. You're the one. No, I interrupt calmly. You're in breach of Addendum 7A through 7D, the fidelity clause. He scoffs. I have no idea what you mean. Then you won't mind if I verify. I turn the screen toward him. A Google timeline, clear as glass. His location dot parked at Sienna's address from 10:45 p.m. to 7:12 a.m. That's a glitch, he says weakly. You know how buggy that is. Oh? I tilt my head. Is it also a glitch that I stopped by this morning and filmed you kissing Sienna goodbye in the lobby? He freezes. You followed me? No, I say. I verified a breach. I open my banking app. Madison, he warns, his voice cracking. What are you doing? Enforcing the contract, per addendum 7D. His eyes widen. No, you can't. Actually, I say, tapping confirm. I can. Transfer complete. A quiet little chime sounds between us. He explodes. You can't do that. That's my parents' money. That's theft. Call the police, I say sweetly. Show them the 5-page optimized partnership contract you drafted. Make sure they see your signature beside addendum 7. He's shaking now. You tricked me, he shouts. No, Ryan, I say, standing. You tricked me. You just weren't smart enough to read your own fine print. He's pale, furious, cornered. My father will destroy you. He'll sue you. He'll... Perfect, I interrupt. Tell him to contact my lawyer. In the meantime, you're in breach. The contract is terminated. Get your things and leave by tonight. For a second, he looks at me like he doesn't recognize the woman in front of him. Then his phone rings. Sienna. He looks down, then at me. He doesn't answer. He just mutters, "This isn't over," and storms out. I sit back down at my desk, the echo of the slammed door fading behind me. I should feel triumphant. Instead, I feel cold, like the house just exhaled after holding its breath too long. I look at the binder on the shelf, his sacred partnership. It's strange how power looks on paper. Neat, signed, laminated. All I did was read the fine print and use it. It's been a month. A month of angry emails, legal threats, and phone calls from unknown numbers that I let ring until they stop. Ryan's father, Alistair, made good on his promise. The man has the kind of voice that thinks money can bend the world. I got the first call 48 hours after Ryan stormed out. Miss Cole, a slick voice said over speakerphone. We represent Mr. Alistair Parker and his son Ryan. We are calling to inform you that you are in illegal possession of $10,000 belonging to our clients. I almost laughed. Possession. As if it were contraband. Instead, I said, the funds were transferred under the terms of a signed mutual contract. Both parties consented. He didn't miss a beat. That so-called contract was a joke, a document written under duress and doctored by you with a punitive, unconscionable clause. We also have reason to believe you are holding Mr. Parker's personal property hostage. I stared at Ryan's leftover junk stacked against my living room wall. Boxes, clothes, ring lights, and an ugly velvet couch that looked like it had been designed by someone allergic to taste. I'm not holding anything hostage, I said evenly. He's free to collect his belongings anytime. My clients do not feel safe retrieving the items, the lawyer drawled. We demand you return the $10,000 immediately, plus an additional $15,000 for emotional distress and coercive control. That one almost made me snort. Coercive control. The irony could have powered a small city. Once those sums are paid, he continued, we'll discuss retrieval of the property. I hung up. My hands were shaking, but not from guilt, from the sheer audacity. Still, I knew I needed help. I'm a compliance specialist, not a litigator. There's a difference between reading policies and weaponizing them. So I found someone who could. Jonas Levine, attorney, 40-something, rumpled but sharp. His office looked like it had been furnished by a man who never leaves it. I slid the laminated binder across his desk. He read every page in silence, flipping between the clauses, pausing only once, to laugh under his breath. This, he said finally, is the weirdest damn thing I've seen in 15 years. Am I screwed? I asked quietly. He leaned back in his chair, folding his hands over his stomach. No, you're not. It's not enforceable in the traditional sense. No judge is going to uphold a clause about verbal validation per conversational exchange. But he tapped addendum 7. It is a signed agreement between two adults, referencing a specific fund, held in a specific account, with a written condition for transfer. That shows intent. His father's lawyer is blowing smoke. So what do we do? Jonas smiled like a man who enjoys a chessboard. We stop talking about the money, let them scream about it. Instead, we start talking about the property. I frowned. You mean the stuff he left here? Exactly, Jonas said. They're trying to use it as leverage. Fine, we'll use the law instead. And that's when my revenge stopped being emotional, and became methodical. Jonas drafted a certified letter. It was beautifully cold, the kind of document that has teeth hiding in its politeness. Dear Mr. Ryan Parker, per state civil code regarding abandoned personal property, you are hereby notified that your belongings remain at my client's residence. You have 15 days from the date of receipt to arrange retrieval. Failure to do so will constitute legal abandonment, and my client may dispose of said property at her discretion. We sent copies to Alistair's lawyer and to the address on Ryan's driver's license. Certified mail. Signature required. I knew they got it. They signed for it. And then they did nothing. No pickup, no calls, not even a text. Just silence. Like they thought if they ignored me long enough, I'd panic and beg them to come collect their mess. Day 15 came and went. I called Jonas, and they ignored it. He sounded almost cheerful. Perfect. He explained what came next in that calm, lawyerly voice that always sounds like a warning wrapped in courtesy. Now, you get rid of it, but you do it by the book. Keep receipts, photos, item lists, everything. You're not just cleaning house, Madison. You're writing the final chapter. That weekend, I did exactly that. It was raining, that kind of slow, steady rain that makes the world feel quieter than it should. I put on gloves and started with the closet. Designer jackets. Half-folded shirts that still smelled like his cologne. Expensive, loud, synthetic. I photographed each item, bagged them, labeled the sizes, and loaded them into my car. Next, his life coach materials. Dozens of notebooks and sticky notes covered in phrases like, manifest abundance, and you are the product. I stacked them neatly, photographed the covers, and sealed them in a box labeled personal documents. His laptop, external drives, journals. Those went into a separate, climate-controlled storage unit, rented under his name, but billed to my account for 1 month. $50. Then the furniture. The pink velvet couch, $2,000 according to him, probably $500 in reality. I listed it on Facebook Marketplace. It sold in 2 hours for $400 cash to a college student who said it was perfect for her aesthetic. I laughed for the first time in weeks. His skincare fridge, his energy crystals, his 30 water bottles, all trashed. By the end of the weekend, my condo was clean. Not just physically, but spiritually. Every trace of his self-absorbed chaos was gone. The total cost of this cleanup, $350 for moving, storage, and disposal. Total gain, $400 from the couch. Net profit, $50 and a sense of peace I hadn't felt in months. When I sent Jonas the receipts, he replied with a single sentence. Textbook compliance, you're free. For the first time since Ryan handed me that ridiculous binder, I smiled without faking it. But of course, the story wasn't over. A week later, Jonas called. Guess who finally remembered they owned property? Apparently, Alistair's lawyer had reached out, furious, demanding an immediate pickup, contingent, of course, on return of the $10,000. Jonas didn't even sound annoyed. Oh, there's been a misunderstanding, he told the lawyer. As per our certified notice dated the 14th, which your client received and ignored, the property is legally deemed abandoned. It's already been disposed of in full compliance with state law. Silence, then sputtering. You what? Jonas's voice was smooth as glass. Your client was served. They chose to ignore it. That's on them. Have a great day. Click. They thought they were playing poker, but I wasn't bluffing. I was following the rules, just better than they ever did. Part 4. The fallout was immediate and spectacular. 3 days after Jonas's call, I woke up to a knock at my door. A courier handed me a thick envelope stamped Superior Court of State. Ryan and Alistair were suing me. Counts. Theft. Extortion. Intentional infliction of emotional distress. Claimed damages. $75,000. Apparently, Ryan's abandoned property, half-empty skincare bottles, and a couch that looked like a flamingo exploded, had suddenly transformed into priceless heirlooms in their eyes. I called Jonas. He didn't even sigh, just chuckled. I was wondering when they'd try this, he said. Don't worry, we'll crush it in mediation. Mediation. The word sounded clinical, like disinfectant. Exactly my kind of battlefield. The hearing was scheduled 2 weeks later at a neutral downtown office. A glass conference room with one long table, one board mediator, and the kind of fluorescent lighting that makes everyone look a little more dishonest. Ryan was already there when I walked in. He looked different, thinner. His hair was still styled, but the gloss was gone, the kind of dullness that creeps in when someone's been living on ego fumes. Sienna wasn't with him. Of course she wasn't. Alistair sat beside him, jaw tight, expensive suit pressed so sharply it could have drawn blood. Across from them, their lawyer, the same man who'd called me weeks ago, his confidence radiating like secondhand cologne. Jonas leaned toward me, whispering, "Smile, we're not here to fight. We're here to comply." The mediator, an older woman with a voice like sandpaper and no patience for nonsense, opened the session. "We're here to resolve Parker versus Cole. Let's start with the plaintiff." Alistair's lawyer jumped in, his tone dripping condescension. "This so-called contract is a joke, Madam Mediator. My client was manipulated into signing a document that that Miss Cole then altered with a fraudulent clause to steal $10,000. Jonas didn't flinch. "My client didn't alter anything. She added an addendum, which her partner willingly initialed. There's video proof of his signature." The lawyer waved his hand dismissively. "A signature under emotional duress. She coerced him. Then, after absconding with his money, she destroyed over $50,000 worth of personal property." The mediator looked at him, unimpressed. "Do you have receipts proving that valuation?" He hesitated. "Not directly, but—" Jonas slid a thin folder across the table. Inside, the certified mail receipts, itemized inventory, photos, and the consignment shop's signed confirmation. "My client followed state abandoned property procedure to the letter," Jonas said. "Mr. Parker received notice. He ignored it. The property was deemed abandoned and disposed of accordingly. As for the money—" He flipped to the laminated page, Addendum 7. Ryan's initials glared up from the paper like tiny ghosts. "This clause specifies the $10,000 would be forfeited to my client in the event of a verified breach of fidelity." The mediator's eyes scanned the text. "Did he sign this?" Ryan's face was red. "I didn't read it. She tricked me." Jonas raised an eyebrow. "You drafted the original contract." Sienna helped. It wasn't—" The mediator held up a hand. "Mr. Parker, just to clarify, you admit this contract originated from you?" Ryan opened his mouth, but Alistair spoke first, voice tight with embarrassment. "This is irrelevant. She took advantage of him." "No," Jonas said quietly. "She applied the same accountability he demanded." The mediator leaned back in her chair, exhaled, and looked between both sides. "Let me get this straight. Mr. Parker created a contract outlining his partner's duties, added absurd clauses about emotional validation, and then signed an additional clause confirming fidelity expectations and monetary penalties. He breached that clause, forfeited the money, ignored legal notices regarding his belongings, and is now suing for theft and emotional distress?" The silence was thick. "That's correct," Jonas said calmly. The mediator tapped her pen against the table, then said, "My professional suggestion, both parties walk away." Alistair's lawyer straightened, incredulous. "Excuse me?" "You heard me. Miss Cole keeps the $10,000. Mr. Parker's property claims are dropped. Miss Cole will provide the key to the storage unit containing his remaining personal items. Both parties sign a mutual release. No further litigation." Ryan's face crumpled. "But—" Alistair's lawyer hissed something under his breath, but the mediator cut him off sharply. "You ignored certified notice. You don't have a case. Take the deal." Jonas leaned toward me. "That's our cue." I took out the small silver key from my purse, placed it on the table, and slid it across to Ryan. "It's paid through the end of the month," I said quietly. "After that, it's your problem." He didn't look at me. His hand hovered over the key but didn't take it. The mediator drafted the agreement in 5 minutes flat. We all signed. When it was over, I stood, thanked the mediator, and walked out into the gray afternoon. The air smelled like rain and relief. Jonas joined me outside. "You did good," he said. "You kept the 10 grand, cleared the mess, and you're lawsuit free. Most people don't walk out of that kind of storm with their sanity, let alone a profit." I laughed, a short, genuine sound. "So I'm up $5,000 and one narcissist lighter." He grinned. "Exactly." We shook hands, and then I went home. That night, I unlocked the door to my condo and stood still. It was quiet, clean, my own space again. The binder was still on the shelf, right where Ryan had left it, the optimized partnership contract that had started it all. I took it down, ran my hand over the laminated cover, then opened to the last page. His signature, his pride, my revenge. I smiled once softly and dropped it into the trash. Then I deleted the video evidence from my phone, blocked Ryan, Alistair, and every trace of Sienna's brand. I made a cup of tea, sat by the window, and looked out at the city lights. The skyline shimmered, faintly distorted by rain. It was peaceful in a way it hadn't been for months. No constant self-improvement mantras, no staged couple content, no laminated rules. Just quiet. I realized with a small laugh that my life finally was optimized, just not the way Ryan meant it. I didn't need affirmations or alignment strategies. I just needed a signature, a clause, and the courage to read the fine print when someone thought I wouldn't.